Let's take a look at what we have for the local dailies. Let me start with the local, with the Star newspaper. On the front page of the Star newspaper, this is what I have. Beach allure, that is beach allure. MCAs county chiefs splash millions in Dubai. That is a big revelation here on the front page of the Star newspaper. There is a case of MCAs and county chiefs splashing millions of shillings in Dubai. That is according to a report here from county halls to fun and malls, how public cash is being spent. And now there are top spenders in foreign travels in 9 months. Who are the top spenders? We have got Nakuru. According to the Star, Nakuru has spent 57.32 million shillings. We also have Nyeri spent 55.61 million shillings in the year, in 9 months. Kitui spent 66.38 million shillings. Lamu County spent 76.09 million shillings. Mombasa spent 59.78 million shillings. Machakos spent 88.22 million shillings. Last but not least is Kisumu, which spent 51.18 million shillings. And finally, Nairobi spent 229.79 million shillings in 9 months. That is what's here on the front page of the Star newspaper. Executive defies MPs' orders on audit queries. That is what is here on the front page. Parliament is being systematically ignored by institutions that it oversees in the executive. A report by the Auditor General has now revealed it is now emerging that government agencies continue to disregard audit recommendations with near impunity. Despite clear legal mandates and repeated directives, the entities are feared to be creating a culture of financial mismanagement that costs billions of shillings. Hunger crisis grows worse in East and Central Africa. That's also the front page. At least 6 million Kenyans have minimally adequate food consumption but are unable to afford some essential non-food expenditures. That is as per this report. Energy CS, how Pio and I tackled embarrassing nationwide blackouts. That is on the front page. And still on the front page, Justice upholds sentence of father who beat to death toddler daughter. That is on the front page of the Star newspaper. On the back page, rivalry at play. Wanyonyi and Arop all set for blockbuster 800 meters showdown in Monaco on Friday. And still time for sprints. Our ladies also performed pretty fine over the weekend, and that is on the front page of the Star newspaper. On the front page of the Daily Nation, what do we have here? It's all about Saba, big divide. That's on the front page of the Daily Nation, big divide. That is what's here. And we have got a picture there of police officers trying just to clear the bonfire, the burning tires, which were set on fire yesterday by the protesters. And that is what is here on the front page of the Daily Nation. There were some hotspots which were recorded in Nairobi, Kiambu, Kisii, Nakuru, Embu, Kajiado, Nyeri, Narok, Laikipia, Murang'a, Meru, Machakos, Kirinyaga, Uasin Gishu, Kakamega, Makueni, and Nyandarua counties. These are the places which were highly affected, 17 counties to be precise. So there's a very big divide when as far as this is concerned. There's a drop in affected counties, business as usual for Kenyans in many parts of the country, but metropolitan and Mount Kenya counties hit hardest by the protest, according to the report. And still, the death and destruction stands at 11 of people who are reported to have died and 10 injured as business are looted. The security agents BCBD blocked roads across the country, inconveniencing travelers and workers. And now Raila is calling for a new prescription. Well, he condemned police brutality, but also called for intergenerational dialogue over burning issues, quote, lead referendum. And finally, what do you have on the front page of the Standard? Brute force. There we have it. Brute force. We have got, basically what really happened yesterday across the 17 counties. And you can also take a look at that. Once again, the government unleashed brute force on Kenyans exercising their democratic right to protest, sealing off the capital and major towns. The razor wire fences around state houses and the exposed a leadership so fearful of its own citizens that it would rather confine them to their grievances. The police, now seemingly President Ruto's last line of 10 and adding all of innocent Kenyans' lives lost days after the quote-unquote the economic warning that Ruto is taking Kenya to dangerous state. That's according to the Standard newspaper. All right. Here, pictures of the mayhem and what really across businesses shut as police battled protesters in Kiambu, Nairobi, Nyandarua. Costs Nairobi economy 10.4 billion shillings, and that is going to be part of just total lockdown in the CBD. So fears turned the county's capital into a ghost town, literally so. And now repeated shutdowns could put the economy and drive up both. That is what is here. 3 protests. The kind of pressure that we go through. It's called occupational hazard. In such a there's always a very thin line between what's really happening. Fever spreads in counties, and Kisumu actually remained calm. Businesses in Nakuru town remained closed as police continued their patrols. But in Kisumu, Homa Bay, Siaya, and Migori counties, it was business as usual. A complete contrast on what really happened here in the capital city. So that is what I have here on the front page of the 3 local newspapers. But what I can say is that generally what really happened in the city was excess destruction of property. Still, even after getting the calls to remain peaceful, it was not peaceful, so to say. It was not peaceful, so to say. So today let's talk about finding balance. Where do we strike the balance between politics and governance, where now we need to get some sense of sobriety in as far as all this is happening in the country is concerned. Finding balance, because you all know that this includes stability, accountability, and responsiveness to the needs of the people. The balance is also achieved through mechanisms like checks and balances, but then now which prevent any one branch of government from becoming too powerful, but also listening to the people, and by fostering collaboration between politicians, citizens, and experts. And talk of experts, I have them in studio. The 3 wise men. The 3 wise men. You saw the star, literally speaking. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
The 3 wise men. Tom Nduku, good morning.
Good morning.
You are here. How is Kenya doing? Let me start with you. Randomly speaking, Ken Bosire, veteran journalist, he's been behind the newspapers for years, even before some of us, okay, before I was born, not before some of us. Okay, all right. Good morning. He calls me Owado. Owado means my brother, all right? And of course, Professor Alfred Omenya, who is principal researcher also on set. Tom Nduku is a criminal investigator and a lot of experts when it comes to these matters. Okay, gentlemen, let's get into it. Yesterday, what we saw in the country. Tom, I don't know where you're going to start, but yeah, give me your quick overview. What really happened since last week, and now we are here. Today is 8th.
I think we are in the correct footing. The only thing is that there is a misunderstanding. One, on the group that is trying to agitate and when they should agitate. Because one of the things is that, you know, in the criminal justice, we look at the values and the events that happens and what drives them. Like if you look at yesterday, the concept was lost because one of the things is that Sabasaba is a historical moment for the country. And this is one area that has made us to achieve progress. From the lost purpose when we had one-party system and the growth of multi-party system, the review as to how we have practiced the coming up of IPPG, which was actually seeded by the president who was presumed to be a dictator. We got minimum reforms. We moved on to the formations of multi-party. We moved on to coalitions. Then we got Constitution 2010. We have not actually exhausted the process of achieving Constitution 2010, but it looks that we have a problem. So our problem now comes to the demands and leadership management. And this is one area that I think the former Prime Minister was addressing yesterday. And some people were saying that, no, we have had so many committees, some of them are lying in the shelves. They could have been lying in the shelves, but you see the problems are also different. And that's why one of the things is that the leaders are now saying, fine, let's talk. But we are talking with who? You see, the situation is that if we can't identify how to talk, then the leaders must talk. And this is actually how IPPG came up. Because when IPPG came up, there was a problem in the country. And through Jilo Falana, Martha Karua, they formed a committee where we got minimum reforms. And that's how even the Electoral Commission, now it was changed. And parties nominated members who could manage the election. So where do we have a problem? Our problem has always been in the election. But you see, God has got ways on how he makes challenges to the world. Here we are. We had two candidates who were on a neck-to-neck win. That is President Ruto and the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Circumstances changed, and these people came back together. So anybody who wanted Raila to be president, Raila has got a chance now, they are talking on the table. Anybody who wanted Ruto to be a president, Ruto has got a chance now, they are talking in the table. What do we need to do now as experts? There is a listening which is coming from the ground. The people are saying we are not fairly getting the share that we need to get from the government. So how do we deal with it? It calls back to Parliament. Because when institutions can't implement process of government nicely, then you institute the law.
Let me get that as well from Alfred. Prof, I mean, we've been here and we've seen what's really happened. In the last 1 year alone, start from last year, June, it has been not so peaceful in the country. And you hear what Tom says, that it goes back to the institutions, for example, Parliament, but there is that sense of dialogue. Raila Odinga talked about this yesterday. There should be a formation of some conclave. For how long? We've had this conversation for far too long. Yes, we should never stop talking.
Yeah, thanks. I think it is interesting times, but if you look at the basics, the DNA is the same. That's what I keep telling people. What you're seeing is the manifestations, the symptoms are manifesting themselves differently. But the actual disease and the actors involved are the same. Why do I say that? The reason why I say that is that, you know, you can't tell me that we had a group called Gen Zs that were that were totally mobile. Then they sporadically decided to come together and fight the Ruto government.
Yes.
I think that's actually stupid. We know, I mean, if you look at the nature of this crisis from the time the President Ruto won, we had the case of Raila.
Yeah.
Initially starting to claim his victory. And then when his purported victory. And then when that, at the same time, the people are also crying on issues about cost of living. And those two were not actually, if you look at it systematically, those two were not the same. It wasn't the same groups.
Yeah.
And Raila sort of came to get together with the Azimio guys. They came and picked that agenda of the people relating to the cost of living and so on. And this had been building from Uhuru's time, actually. Ruto himself, the president, won the presidency on the basis of addressing some of those issues. And things were getting worse, not better. Then what we see is Azimio and Raila himself basically owning that particular agenda, and being able to actually use that to start conversations with the Ruto government. Meanwhile, we had, I think it was called Limuru 3.
Yes.
What happened to Limuru 3? Where did it vanish to? So Limuru 3 then takes off. Then this thing spirals into the big, bad Gen Z so-called revolution last year. And what we see Raila and Azimio people coming back to the president. But meanwhile, we're not asking ourselves, what happened to the other factions that were also agitating for largely the cost of living, but also we also had the political agitation.
Yes.
But as soon as that comes in, we see Gachagua and a number of people from, that were actually initially allied to the president, crossing over. And again, what is projected is that Gen Zs are revolting. And well, really, I mean, who are these Gen Zs and why are they revolting, and what are the issues? As far as I'm concerned, the issue that we actually have at hand is the normal Kenyan politics, actually, manifesting itself, or, politicians using different strategies. Of course, the Gen Zs being, is common sense. There's a big vote basket, just like Raila and the economy. In fact, now the opposition, we have the opposition and the Gen Zs. Yeah, because they're agitating for similar issues.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can use, one can actually hijack the other. And that's partly why for the average Kenyan politician, it is excellent that Gen Zs have no leader. Because they can always hijack that group. When a group claims that they have no leader, they become highly, they become highly susceptible
and vulnerable,
vulnerable to political culture capture. Because if this group had their own leader, then in fact all these other traditional political leaders currently organized around the opposition, with the faces like Kalonzo Musyoka and so on, would actually become weaker. So if I summarize my opening points, I've been moving around the country quite a bit, and one of the things that I'm seeing, and we're discussing that with Ken here, what we're seeing at micro level is actually the same as what we're seeing nationally yesterday. You go to an average funeral, MCAs come with hooligans who disrupt the funeral and grab microphones and beat people for no reason.
It's a normal occurrence there.
Exactly. That has been normalized.
Yeah.
MPs and wannabe MPs, everybody is actually working and organizing these goons, and they feed off them all the way to governors, and people fight. Even the ordinary Mwananchi, when these people arrive, it's a spectacle. A mheshimiwa, it could be an MP or an aspiring MP or a governor arrives, you think it's a war zone. When people are trying to get money from this guy, people are fighting, the security are fighting, then they fight the other parties, if there's an opponent in there. That's exactly what's happening at that micro level. We know that is exactly what's happening at parties.
Thank you.
Let me just wind up this. A very basic case where some party leader had invited potential aspirants, You know how the aspirants got in there? First, some aspirants blocked the other aspirants from getting in. So these aspirants had to come in, drive with their goons.
The show of might.
Exactly. And in between there, believe it or not, in between there is there's local security policemen and provincial administration. So what you're seeing is the formal government and the goons operating at that level. And for me, what I'm seeing at national level is exactly the same. You've got goons organized at national level. You've got the police organized at national level. But what's the common denominator? The common denominator is the notoriously indisciplined Kenyan politician.
Wow. Ken, do we have to add anything? Or we take a break? Let's take a break. Let's take a break.
What did I do?
We'll be right back. Stay with us.